Hey everybody, welcome to Cast and Court TV. It's your girl, Miss Public Info, here with the latest and greatest and sometimes hated updates of your most highest profile cases going on around the country. Of course, today is going to be a Diddy episode. It just got us by the throats as it relates to just the news coming in. You guys, I told you yesterday that if any news came in, I would be on here sort of updating you guys and letting you know what's going on. The latest today, of course, is that Gina Young, I do have no idea how to say her name, so please forgive me for the mispronunciation of her last name. Technically, her legal is Virginia Young. The ex-girlfriend, current girlfriend, I don't know, girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs has written a letter to the judge appealing to allow Mr. Combs's release on bail from the men's detention center there in Brooklyn. Now, let's talk about this and let's be very, very clear about why her letter is very conflicting. Okay. So the first reason her letter is conflicting is because of the fact that Gina Young was actually subpoenaed by the government to testify in the trial. She was supposed to be aka victim 3, as she actually refers to herself in this letter, and we're going to go through the letter as well. But she was subpoenaed by the government and she did not show up. She was MIA. It wasn't until the verdict or the jury actually had the case and was deliberating that she surprise popped up, and none other than the 30-mile zone folks, TMZ, caught up with her coming out of a Whole Foods where she was asked, how do you feel about this, that, and the third, and sort of her laissez-faire style, as I'm sure some of you have observed. She's very sort of monotone. She's very sort of, I don't know, sort of kind of lady. She kind of just said she didn't really care that he's not done anything to me or anything like that. Now, I mentioned in a couple of episodes ago how Sean Combs did not follow the rules at the men's holding facility because he was utilizing other people's numbers to contact proposed witnesses to sort of keep them from testifying. Witness tampering is what it is technically referred to. Well, Gina Young was actually one of those people, and many are saying that is the reason she did not show up. She didn't show up to actually testify because she had already spoken to Combs. Now, we've already heard from sources who say that he's charming. He's able to sort of push his resources around. Just because he's in jail, in a holding facility, doesn't mean he doesn't have resources. He most certainly does, and it is very, very likely that he sort of supplied Gina with some sort of payoff not to come. Now, that's the speculation. Of course, we don't know that for sure. But what we do know for sure that this is Sean Combs' style. This is exactly what he was actually doing with victim 2, if you want to call her that, with one Daphne Joy, who was actually having her home and her legal fees paid by Mr. Combs during the time in which she was testifying against him in this case. So this is right up his alley to sort of utilize his resources, his supposed charm, his push his weight around to sort of get his way. As many of us have seen in the video clip that has been swirling around the internet, and what he says is, I always get what I want. So this is sort of like par for course for Mr. Combs. Now, as it relates to, let's get back to Gina, because as it relates to her sort of, writing this letter, the other reason this is cumbersome is because Gina actually did an interview with one Tasha K. Shout out to Tasha K. With Tasha K 2 months ago. And I usually don't get into the rumor mill of it all, but this was a very important exclusive. This woman would not testify against Sean Combs, but she had no problem talking to Tasha K. Now, I don't know when exactly this interview actually took place, but Tasha K released this interview a few months ago during the trial. And in this interview, she talks about the abuse that she suffered being with Sean Combs. She talked about the fact that he stomped on her because she had gotten pregnant. She talks about how he made her get an abortion. I'm going to play this clip. I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to play this clip, and we are going to look at this together because this is precisely the reason her testimony, or her this whole thing about her, coming up with all of this letter and all of this is really problematic. Now, here we go. And I'm going to play parts of this interview. You guys can see this now. So let's roll tape on this Tasha K interview.
Baby 2. When did baby 2 come? Last year in August.
Now she says that she was in an abusive relationship.
Talk about that conversation. You're pregnant, you tell him. And this is obviously after 6 years of you guys being together. And mind you, it wasn't my fault that I got pregnant. I told him, because I have like this period app and it tells me when I'm ovulating and stuff. So I told him that I'm ovulating, so don't do it. But he just did it anyway, and then I got pregnant, and
I'm assuming do it is
just an abortion, like no
Oh.
hesitation. But this time was harder for me because I had been with him for so long, and I was like really in love with him, and part of me wanted to keep it, but he didn't want it. So we had agreed to get it, but I only agreed to it because he told me to. And then we went to Turks and Caicos like a couple days later. And during that time, he was like giving me drinks, like alcohol, like giving me drinks to drink. And I was just like, I'm not comfortable. He was like, you're going to get an abortion anyways. And, but he was like kind of being distant towards me during the whole trip. And when we came back, he had like, when we came back on Sunday, because we were there for a whole week, we were gonna do it that next day, Monday. So when we came back from Turks on Sunday, he had like left me to go meet up with Cassie. So he kind of.
Let's stop there. Okay, let's get back. Okay, so I just played that at length, and I'll actually pick out other portions of the interview later on when we get into this. But this is a person that caused this woman great pain. You heard what she said, that she was getting the abortion because he told her to. This is what she said. She said, I just did it because he wanted me to. This was her second abortion that he had forced her into. Early in the episode, she sort of talks about how he was, very abusive to her. And you saw that Tasha K had her in a subtitle that she was in a abusive relationship with him for 5 years. Now, in this letter to the judge, she sort of says that, we've had our share of ups and downs. I'm not afraid of him. I don't think he's been a risk to a community. I don't think he's a risk to the community. I'm going to go into the letter in a second here. But what I want to say, besides all the things that I've already said, is the fact that this particular letter from Gina Young is not going to matter at all. It's not going to make any difference. There will be this letter will be of no consequence to the issue with Sean Combs. What the government and what the judge has said previously, but let's start with the current. What the government said in their 11-page opposition motion was the fact that Sean Combs has not met the burden of proof to prove that he is no longer a danger to the community, to public safety, that he let's break this down, because also people have been commenting, well, they said the same thing, what do you mean, and this, that, and the third. Listen, guys, let's break this down for those of you in the class who might be a little slow on the uptake. The thing is here is that Sean Combs has demonstrated very violent behavior. Yes, the 2016 video, I don't care if it was 3 years ago. Who cares that it was in 2016? Sean Combs committed those acts. And then even closer to now, 2024, he in trial, it came out already that he was beating on Daphne Joy, that he, blackened her eye, that he it was hitting her while she was in the shower, that they had an explosive episode of violence. Sean Combs is someone who has the propensity to violence, not even with just women, but also men as well. The Kid Cudi car bombing, whether you believe it or not. Why is he threatening people? Why is he going into someone's home? That was proven that happened. Regardless if you think he set the car bomb or not, he was in that guy's home. He opened up the guy's Christmas presents. He's locking the guy's dog in the bathroom. That's criminal mischief. You're a burglar, number one. Number two, you're locking the guy's dog in the bathroom, opening up his Christmas gifts, all these things. You're in that guy's house. That's criminal mischief. You're not allowed to do that. Mr. Combs has not taken any steps from all of these situations, and there are more that I just mentioned. He's not taken any steps to publicly correct his behavior. All he's done is basically gotten out of trouble by his resources, by his celebrity, by utilizing people who will lie for him, who will cover up for him, etc. And he's also only demonstrated that behavior, that same behavior, since he's been in jail, trying to get people to not testify against him by utilizing his resources, reaching into his old bag of, oh, I'm a rich guy, pal bag with one Donald Trump, trying to get Donald Trump to actually pardon him just because they were old pals or whatnot. That is what the court is looking at. And what the court also sees is that, Sean Combs, you've not submitted yourself into any batterers program. It actually came out during trial that when right before he was arrested, that he actually got Jane Doe, aka Daphne Joy, to help write him a letter to enter a batterers program, to keep the feds from arresting him. It wasn't because he was really trying to amend his behavior. This is very similar to what we saw a month ago, or not even that, probably a few weeks ago, when it was made public that he was entering a batterers program while he was there in the holding facility there in Brooklyn. This is his this is his MO. Okay, this is how he moves. He moves like this. He moves like this to try and sort of move the trick bag any way he can to get out of trouble. So now what is he doing? Now he's up to his old tricks again, utilizing his charm, manipulating the women that were once in his life, that were loyal to him, that tried to do everything for him. She's the only one left at this point. I think Daphne Joy is probably somewhere around. I'm not sure. But just like he got Daphne Joy to write that letter to enter him into that batterers program so that maybe the feds wouldn't arrest him just 1 year ago, he also got Gina Young to write this letter on his behalf to claim that he's not violent. He's not violent, she says. That's what she's claiming. Now, we're going to play a little bit more of her Tasha K interview, and we are going to then go into the actual letter that she wrote. Give me a moment here because I want to cue up where she's talking about.
It's like trying to like calm the situation down before it got worse. And he just kept pushing me and pushing me. And then so I left his bedroom and I went down to like the meditation room. It's kind of like a guest house, like it's like separate from his house. And and he followed me there. He followed me there, and he like continued talking shit to me, and um I just got to the point where I was just so angry that I like took a bottle of De Leon and then I like smashed it on the ground. And he was like, "You," he was like, "You bitch, you did that at my house with my kids here. Bitch, my kids is here." And then I ran out the mediation room, or yeah, meditation room.
Okay.
And he chased after me. He pushed me to the ground outside, and he took my hair and like was dragging me across like the grass in my hair with my hair. And then after that, like a couple hours later, like it was the weekend, so we had people coming over, and he just like acted like nothing happened.
Mm.
So I mean, but that's all the time. Like every time.
And when you say acting like nothing happened, like,
So we're gonna stop right there. I wanted to basically show and showcase how this woman just 2 months ago was talking about these violent episodes that she had with Sean Diddy Combs. That the things that we saw in the 2016 video. This girl actually had been messing with him for 5 or so years, sometime during and then after Cassie. I think she also was in a relationship with him, or maybe still is, but was in a simultaneous relationship with him during the time that Daphne Joy was in a relationship with him. And we know that the relationship with Daphne Joy, as they describe it during the trial, ended basically in 2024, and it ended because he was arrested by the federal government. So we're talking about recent history. People have been very critical about, oh, well, you guys are still talking about that 2016 video. Well, listen, guys, we cannot absolve him of that 2016 video. It happened. It was on tape. And for those of you who are a Diddy loyalist and whatever, that's fine. You can be a loyalist if you want to. But the fact of the matter is that tape exists. And it doesn't matter if it was a year ago or if it was 10 years ago. There's a reason why Sean Combs actually tried to pay someone to get rid of that video, because he did not want that coming back to haunt him for this very reason that we're talking about right now. Now we're talking about violence that happened in more recent history with a third victim. Now, again, she was called to testify and to talk about this with the federal government, but she refused to do that. Instead, she went to Tasha K and she went and talked to her. Now, this didn't make it into court, but if you think Judge Subramanian doesn't know about any of this stuff, you've got to be kidding yourself. Also, Judge Subramanian is going to take one look at this letter and put two and two together. He's a very intelligent man and be like, ma'am, out of here. Like, thank you for your letter. Appreciate, your input and everything. But you didn't even show up to court on the subpoena. How do you think that your letter, I'm asking Virginia now, how do you think your letter is going to have any sort of weight to it, Virginia, Miss Virginia, when you wouldn't even follow the law and actually appear on a court-ordered subpoena from the federal government? Now, all of a sudden, that the trial is over, that the verdict has come in, here you are sort of trying to sashay yourself in here with a letter in support of this person getting out. Not to mention, you've already let the cat out of the bag that he's beaten you, dragged you, that he's, pushed you, tried to stomp a baby out of you, all these things with a media source. You've already had that exclusive interview, made you get abortions that you didn't want to get. That's abuse as well. Okay? The community, when the court says that he is not met his burden of proof as it relates to being a danger to the community is everybody. The community is also the girls, the women that he dated before. The community are women that he's dating or having a relationship with currently. That would be the community. And if at any time he is violent towards those women, that is what the court is saying. You've not met your burden. to say that you've actually gone through a batterer's course, or you've tried to rehabilitate yourself so that you aren't doing these things and making these kinds of actions. I think it is extremely arrogant, and I cannot believe the audacity of Sean Combs enlisting this girl, this woman. She's not a girl, she's a woman, this woman, to sort of write this letter on his behalf. I know she's not doing this on her own, because he was the one that kept her from testifying, and her undying supposed love for him. Well, really, it's not love, it's manipulation. And the fact of the matter is that he would have the audacity, or she would also have the audacity, to participate in something like this, and mention that, you know, he wants to be there for his kids and all of these things, when in fact all of your behavior leading up to this has been a bad example for your 7 children. The same with the attorney, with his attorneys, his supposed dream team. Oh, you know, he wants to be there for his kids, which 3 of them don't have a mother at all. Well, they don't have much of a father either. You know, yeah, parenting is much more than, you know, paying and providing a roof. That is part of parenting, but the other part is leading by example and being a decent person and showing them how to treat other people. I don't know, but let's remind the class how Sean Combs actually has 2 lawsuits, civil lawsuits, that involve sexual activity, assault, with both Justin and Christian right now, with 2 separate young ladies, because he is not a good example for his sons as it relates to how to treat people correctly, how to respect people, and to respect people's boundaries, and all of those things. So let's get to this letter. Let me pull this letter up so you guys can also see that. Let me go here. I've got it here, and we're going to read through this letter together here. And it's just really, I just think it's really quite sad that this is where we are. This is where we are. Dear Your Honor, the letter reads. Dear Your Honor, my name is Virginia Young, and I am writing as the person identified as victim 3 in this case. I have known Sean Combs for many years in both a personal and professional capacity. That's the first time I heard it was professional ever. From the experience, I have seen him primarily as a father, a family man, and a businessman. Roles that he has always striven to uphold. I provide this letter to share my observations about his character and to respectfully request that the court permit his release on bond while the case proceeds. Now let's move down here. She says, our relationship, like many, was not always perfect. We experienced ups and downs, and mistakes were made, but he was willing to acknowledge his mistakes and make better decisions. He was willing to acknowledge his mistakes and make better decisions in the future. Yeah, but he didn't make better decisions in the future. Over the years that followed, he made visible efforts to become a better person and to address the harm he had caused. By the time of our relationship ended, he embodied an energy of love. So she has acknowledged that the relationship has ended. So what do we know? We know then now that this is a money grab. Got it. He's utilizing his resources. He's bankrolling her. And we've heard this before, that he was sort of bankrolling her living space wherever she lives now. He's paying the rent on that, and very similar to the Daphne Joy situation, right? By the time our relationship ended, he embodied an energy of love, patience, and gentleness that was markedly different from his past behavior. To my knowledge, he has not been violent for many years, and he has been committed to being a father first. I am writing because I do not view Mr. Combs as a danger to me or the community. This is his first criminal case. Throughout the investigation and proceedings, he has been cooperative, respectful, and compliant. He has not been compliant. He broke rules while he's been in jail, ma'am. He has substantial ties to his family and community, including children who depend on him for emotional and financial support. Yeah, so much for the emotional. Granting him bond would allow him to continue caring for his family and fulfilling his responsibilities while still subject to the court supervision. Emotional support to his family? You mean emotional manipulation is what you must mean. I want to assure the court that if released, I believe Mr. Combs will adhere to all conditions imposed and will not jeopardize his freedom or the well-being of his family, allowing him to be at home, and will also support the healing process for all involved. I respectfully ask you to consider these factors when deciding his eligibility for release. Thank you for your time and consideration. Okay, stopping that. moving on. Now, God bless you, Virginia. God bless you, Virginia. But that's not going to help Mr. Combs. It's not going to help Mr. Combs. I'm so sorry to say. It's not going to help Mr. Combs. The judge, that means nothing to the judge. It really doesn't. Not only are you uh a conflicting character, a witness for him because you didn't abide by the subpoena, but you also are someone who experienced abuse in your relationships. Trying to sort of sugarcoat this with the, oh, we had our ups and downs and things of that nature. That means nothing. Okay. Ups and downs. You mean like when he beat you, or when he dragged you across the grass, or when he made you get the multiple abortions? That's what you mean by ups and downs? Oh, okay. Got it. But everything's okay now because he's bankrolling your lifestyle, or he has somewhat, somehow convinced you that you should do this. I mean, the only thing that would make this any more of a soap opera, Days of Our, a la Days of Our Lives, or As the World Turns, Guiding Light, is if what's her name, Carisha, showed up in this whole melee and wrote a letter for him. Actually, a letter from Carisha will probably make more sense than a letter from this woman here, Virginia, because Carisha was never actually shown as a victim. But actually having a letter from Virginia saying that, oh, he's not a danger to me, and you didn't even show up for the hearing. No one could find you. You were MIA because you refused to adhere to the court-ordered, federal government court-ordered subpoena. Is wild to me. Wild that of the audacity for her to actually write this letter. Wild of the audacity for anyone to even encourage her to do so, which we do know that the Dream Team, because they're a bunch of weirdos, probably encouraged her to do so. We know Sean Combs encouraged her to do so. In this business about him being compliant while while the case has been going on, he's not been compliant, Virginia. He hasn't. He broke rules while he's been in jail. This has come up during the trial. Were you not paying attention to what was happening during the trial? Actually, he got into trouble because of the modes of communication in which he used to reach out to you to keep you from actually testifying. Called witness tampering. It's called witness tampering. And encouraging other people not to testify. Okay? So no, he's not been compliant. And it's been said over and over again by the federal government that Combs is not even compliant to the rules when he's been in lockdown, let alone letting this man out. He is a flight risk. A flight risk. You didn't mention that in your letter, but he is. And the government mentioned that in their opposition letter. He's a flight risk. Besides being a threat to community safety, he is a flight risk because he is looking at a substantially more amount of time in jail than he initially was in the beginning. This is not a 4 to 5 year thing now. It's a little bit more. The government said so. The new head of this division, this criminal division for the DOJ, Jay Clayton. He is the one that wrote the motion. And Jay Clayton, who is picked and primed and picked, however you want to say it, by President Donald Trump, who Combs is currently seeking a pardon from. Jay Clayton said, no. We are seeking a substantially more amount of time than the previous guidelines that we initially thought would be in play here, the 4 to 5 years. No, it's actually more time because he has the propensity for violence. We're talking about more than just fists. We're also talking about guns. Combs is a man with endless resources. He's also, again, because of the time that he's looking at, and because he owns a private jet, and because he wants allowances to fly from New York to Miami, Miami to New York, this man is a flight risk. And when he was busted, prior to him finally being arrested there at the Hyatt Regency in New York. But when he was busted on that tarmac in Florida, he was off to another place, to another country then, at that time, when the drug mule was busted, Brendan. And it said that he was hiding money offshore, you know. So this guy is a flight risk. Now he knows that the government is looking. That's why they're panicking. His team is panicking. They're panicking now. They want him out. And now we are smelling the desperation for a team that was so sure that Donald Trump was going to pardon him, and so sure that he was actually could get out over the weekend. Why are you now having being so desperate to now have the ex-girlfriends, one that was actually named victim 3, write a letter on his behalf, who couldn't even bother to show up to testify in court? Because why? Well, she had been manipulated by Mr. Combs when he was witness tampering, which is what he got in trouble for while he's been in that holding facility, utilizing the sons that he offers so much emotional support to, utilizing his sons to get messages to people. We learned that too. I would say he's teaching them how to be just like him, is what I would say. And where is that going to lead them? Into a jail cell with him. That's where it's going to lead him. This is the audacity of all of this. It is just, it's shameful. It's shameful at the lengths that Sean Combs is stooping to, even lower. I didn't think he'd getting lower than he is now, but he's gotten there. The lengths that he's going and the depths that he's stooping to get out of jail. He's going to be sentenced October 3rd. So he just wants out. Why do you want out? And why do you want out? And I think Jay Clayton made it clear, because he plans on fleeing. He's a flight risk. He just needs to get out so he can just, he's going to play it cool for a little bit, and then he's going to be out of here. That's what it is. Now, some of you got the Diddy loyalists some of you guys see yourself in him, which I don't get, because this guy, he wouldn't throw water on you if you were on fire. He wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. And those of you who think he's being railroaded in some way, shape, or form, you're probably rooting for him to get out so he can fly away and get out of trouble. Well, I'm going to say something to you guys, you women and men who think that way. You are a proponent of not only a rape culture, RAPE culture, when you do that, but you also are a proponent of domestic violence. Those of you who said that the tape didn't show sex trafficking, but it showed domestic violence. Well, okay, let's go with that. Well, you guys are celebrating and rooting for a guy who has displayed time and time over and over again that he is someone who is violent and who practices domestic violence and who basically has a problem keeping his hands off women. That's what you are supporting when you do that. That's what you're supporting. This has very little to do with the government not being fair. The government is being fair. They've already explained, if you take the time to listen to anybody that's actually reading the actual opposition, the 11-page opposition paperwork, and I've explained this as well, they've already explained that the charges in which he was convicted on require his being remanded into the government custody. It requires him to be arrested, because the conviction also includes the fact that Mr. Combs has shown high propensity for violence. So he has to be behind bars. It's part of the conviction. You all are missing that. So there's not anything unfair that's actually being done to Mr. Combs. Trump said he's half innocent, is what he said. Well, that makes him guilty. There's no such thing as half innocent in the court of law at all. You're either guilty or you're not. That makes him guilty because he's not half innocent or innocent at all. So we're going to continue to monitor this situation, and we will get back to you as things develop over the next coming days. But it's going to be very interesting with how Judge Submaranian views this particular this latest development with this letter from Miss Virginia. And certainly it is not going to be something that he spends a lot of time on. Mr. Judge Submaranian also has been continuing to receive letters from the survivors of, that's what they call them. That's a customary term, guys, before you start trying to, oh, there's no survivors. What are you talking about? That's what they're called, survivors of Sean Combs's antics. He's also still considering and reading letters from those people as well, saying, we do not think this person is safe. And here's why. So he will take all of this into consideration, and then he will make his decision. But again, Mr. Combs's team is outside of the Rule 49 14-day the 14-day rule and precedence of the fact that he had 14 days, or his team had 14 days to actually combat or file a motion against the no bail after the bail hearing directly after the verdict. And they didn't do that. They waited 27 days. They took several victory laps instead and bragged about how he was being congratulated by the other inmates. Now they want to pull out all the stops and say, well, actually, no, there's a problem. No, well, actually, you learn that now he's looking at a much more substantial amount of time in jail, and you're trying to get him out. That is what is actually happening. All right, guys, we'll come back to you. Casting Court TV will come back to you tomorrow with a fresh new episode and fresh new updates. We appreciate you rocking with us this evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.